So here we go, the Brooks HYPERION 2, a much needed update from version 1, but how good is this thing? So welcome back to another shoe review video, and today we're diving in and taking a look at the Brooks HYPERION 2 after its first run, and my word, it was a good run out there today. So I'm excited to share, as always with first run on first impression videos, how I tested it, give you a technical overview, and then give you my thoughts on the shoe. Quick disclaimer, this is a pair of shoes that I purchased with my own vouchers. Well, basically I won a recent 10k and I got £150 worth of vouchers to spend at Up and Running. So I went to Up and Running in Cheltenham and I got this shoe, which is the one that I've been wanting to get for a while. So really, this is a shoe that I purchased with my own money. So let's jump into how I tested this shoe. I've put in over 12 miles in the first run for this shoe, and it was a really meaty workout. I'm in my penultimate marathon training week, and so I had my last marathon specific session, which is a session over the last few weeks I've been doing in super shoes. But today, out there on the trails, I thought I would take this thing for a spin. It's a mix of trail and concrete. And yeah, we did 2 sets of 3k, 2k, 1k, all off of 1 minute easy jog recovery. My goal there was to run the 3ks in and around marathon effort, the 2ks around half marathon effort, and then push the 1ks a little bit faster, and it ticked the box really well. The terrain out there was undulating, some bits are flat, but some up, some down, and it handled it really well. The weight on this thing is absolutely incredible, which we'll come to shortly, and is a massive improvement from version 1, and overall it handled it really well. And as you can see, it got a little bit battered out there in the wet conditions. So let's jump in to a quick technical overview before I give you my first impressions. I went true to size in this shoe, which is a UK size 13, and as with all Brooks shoes, I have no issues with fit. It is absolutely perfect. We're talking about an 8mm heel to toe drop. We've gained 4mm, I believe, from the last version, moving it up to 26 in the heel and 18 in the forefoot. And in my UK size 13, this is the lightest trainer that I now have in my rotation, beating the Kinvara 14 by 2 grams. 254 grams for this one, or 8.9 ounces. And as always with these shoes, we'll work our way from the heel counter, talk about the ankle collar, the tongue, the lacing, the upper, the midsole, and finish with the outsole. Of course, with it being quite a lightweight shoe, there's not too much to it, so let's roll straight in. This is an open mesh upper, extremely breathable, extremely comfortable, and it runs all the way around. And believe it or not, even though it is a super lightweight shoe, we still have some decent structure at the back here. And for me, I'm always appreciative of a flick back here that flares away from the Achilles. It is really, really nice. But there is a bit of something there. It's not crazy sturdy, but there's something, which is good, and a nice low ankle cut, which sits under the ankle bone nicely. Some decent cushion in and around here, not too much, but enough there that it feels nice and comfortable when you slip your foot in. And moving on to the tongue, again, there's a decent amount of padding, more padding than I've seen in some tongues over the recent shoes I've tested. So as always, paper thin at the start here that sits on the top of your ankle, but just as the laces start, a bit of cushioning kicks in, and it's quite a decent amount of cushioning. It does feel very comfortable, so that when you cinch the laces down, it feels really good. And that tongue is indeed gusseted, meaning it's attached left and right of the shoe, inside with some elastic, so it holds the tongue strong. The laces, nothing fancy here, standard lacing system. And as I said in the Brooks HYPERION Max 2 video, Brooks do laces really well. These bite, these grip. I literally put these shoes on, cinched from the bottom all the way to the top, knotted them up, and I had no issues on the run whatsoever. They didn't come loose, they didn't work loose. They were absolutely fantastic. So that whole first setup is brilliant. And as I said, the mesh upper runs all the way around. It looks like a bit of printing for the Brooks wording and the logo here, but that is it. There is nothing more to this upper. It is really, really nice, comfy and breathable, and fits and hugs the foot nicely. And then moving on to the midsole, something I know and love in Brooks shoes, especially the recent Tempos and the recent Maxes, and now this one, DNA Flash midsole. I believe this is version 2. It's getting better with every version. This is the same of what I found in the HYPERION Max 2, and then we have more of it from the previous version. So I believe the previous version had version 1 in it. This is now version 2, a little bit lighter, a little bit more springier, but still on that firmer side. So you're not going to expect a completely revolutionary ride if you've tested version 1, but if you've used the tempos like me, if you've used the maxes like me, you'll know how this feels. It is slightly on the firmer side, but you do get some lovely responsiveness from the shoe. And again, the geometry of the shoe here shows we've got a nice late stage rocker here, which just does put you up on your toes nicely, and it just aids you through that foot strike really, really nicely. So far, so good. We have a bit of rubber coverage on the outsole here. It's enough. I've never ever had an issue with Brooks shoes in the wet. They've always been super grippy, super tacky, and I can confirm that this thing is no exception. This morning's conditions were not pleasant. It was raining, it was a mix of trail and concrete, and it felt really grippy. It stuck to the road and the trails so well. And when I say trails, we're talking very, very, very light, buffed out trails. So rubber on the back here where some people are prone to strike, and again at the forefoot here where people are prone to strike. Exposed midsole in the middle there to keep the weight down, just basically rubber in the high wearing areas. And that is about it. That is it for the tech. So with that out of the way, let's dive into my first impressions. How did I find this shoe? I'm going to bring these two into play shortly, but I want to leave these out for the moment and just give you my initial thoughts on this shoe. And first of all, as soon as I laced it up and I got out there, I thought this is such a welcome upgrade from version 1. I actually quite enjoyed version 1, but I didn't end up putting too many miles in it because I had better shoes in my rotation for the speed work than that shoe, and it just felt a little bit heavy, a little bit bulky. The main updates that I've really appreciated is the upper. It's such a better upper in this shoe compared to the other one. But again, let's leave that for the moment. Super lightweight, super nimble, very, very fast shoe, very enjoyable, very much kind of got that Brooks DNA at the heart of it. Everything that I've loved from the Tempo, everything I've loved from the Max is incorporated into this shoe. And a lot of you guys said, Andy, you've got to try this one and not necessarily the Max 2, because the Max 2 has definitely gone completely the other way and is very much now a long range cruiser. And you're right, you are right, this is a much more similar to the Max 2, but I will say it's not as close as I expected it to be. It very much, for me, fits halfway between the two. And when I say the two, I mean the old version of this and the old version of the Hyperion Max. But overall, yeah, I mean, in terms of everything about this shoe, it was absolutely incredible out there. I went out there with very limited expectations. These sessions I've been doing have been in super shoes, and they've been out on the road. So for me to take this thing out on the trails in those wet conditions and try and hit marathon pace on undulating terrain was really kind of something where I was just going for effort rather than pace. But I achieved goal pace pretty much. I achieved everything I wanted to achieve. I worked a little bit harder. I cut the sets down. I got quicker as I went on, and this thing was a pleasure to deal with. Even when I got faster, it just kind of went with you, and I just kind of felt like, oh, this is absolutely magic. I think instantly putting 12 miles into the shoe, I can definitely say it's not going to be a Max replacement. I don't think this could do the longer runs that I used to be able to do in the Max, sort of like 20, 21, 22 miles. Sometimes you kind of work out that a shoe hasn't quite got enough stack to take you through all the longer miles that you need, and so that's why I feel it's not quite going to be the replacement to the Max, but I do feel it's going to be an absolutely stellar addition to the lineup when I get round to doing more speed work. And really the big updates from these two shoes, we're talking about the upper and the midsole here. We've lost 24 grams. We've gone down from 278 grams down to 254, which is welcome when it comes to a speed day shoe. You can instantly tell when you hold these two shoes. The midsole in version 1 is much more dense than version 2. This one feels a bit more lighter and area, which is appreciated, and you notice it on foot. And of course, we've got quite a thick woven, what feels like woven upper on the version 1, and this is much more of a nice lightweight open mesh. So they've done some fantastic work on the upgrade here. Also, you can see the rocker is more aggressive in version 2 and version 1, making it feel definitely like you are put on your toes more. But I will reiterate that this is not a replacement for this. In my opinion, we've got 34 mil of stack in the heel, 26 in the forefoot. We've got an extra 8 mil compared to this one where we've got 26 and 18. So that is the difference realistically between going on those longer runs and just saving them for workouts. This could do both. both, and I think this one is very much a case of just a workout shoe. What they've done effectively from version 1 of both these shoes is taken the midsoles and just increase them effectively. That's all they've done. Put better foam in them, the version 2, and this one is a massively welcome upgrade. The version 2 on this one, I'm not sure. I think I would have preferred something a bit similar to this. It's definitely lost its do-it-all shoe, and when it comes to the new version, yes, we do have something that sits really nicely in the middle there. It's not quite going to cover everything that the Max did, but it's certainly going to go a long way to covering most of the bases. So there we go. Those are my thoughts on the Brooks Hyperion 2. Really enjoyed the first run, and as I said, got my feet in it, loved it, brilliant workout, much better than version 1, but not quite the same as the Max. I'd love to know your thoughts. You've been screaming at me to get this shoe for so long. I'd love to hear how you've been using these shoes. How many miles have you got in them? What have you found them to be really good for? They're gonna be incredible over the winter for me. Lots of speedy miles hopefully put in this shoe. I can't wait to use them more. For me, it's all about tapering now for the marathon, but once that's over, this is going to get a ton more use. So I'd definitely love to hear from you guys down in the comments below. Please let me know all of those things, how many miles, how you've been using them, and if you are enjoying them compared to the previous version. That's it from me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please do consider giving it a like, share it with your friends, and of course subscribe to the channel for weekly running content. I'll see you on the next one.